So we're here to talk about graphic architecture today. This was something Alex had asked me to talk to you guys about. Just not that everything's wrong or everything's right. We're just going over, the parts and pieces and how things to think about to help expand your mind when you're trying to come up with ideas, because that's the hardest part. We're creative. We're supposed to be creative. We have to come up with things, new things. So these are some ways to think through that. Fred's watching me in the corner. So the title is How to Construct a Successful Package. There is a lot of package design out there that's not successful, and that's what we're trying to avoid. Right here, this little sketch here. There's a little face in the food if you didn't notice that. The facts are, there's more facts, you got a plan. So it becomes easier and it takes less time. So what we're going to need today is pencil, eraser, a black marker, some color markers, paper, of course. But we're not drawing right this second, but we will draw soon. So just a warning, read as much as you can. Every job I've ever had these basic parts to it. And a lot of times people will come to me and say, hey, let's get started. We don't have any information. Just do whatever. And you're like, okay, well, I've done this 20 years. It's never whatever. There's always things that you should know. But maybe they, for whatever reason, they don't have that information. But the one thing you're going to need is like some sort of brand, or where is this product coming from? Sometimes that's a logo. Sometimes that's a brand. Some brands don't want it on the face. Some do. But a way to check this is check the precedent art with if there's something on the shelf that you've seen before, even if it's in the category. Like if you're doing a medical pack, look at other medicine packs. What do they have on there? How do they display themselves? Because you can bring that up later. What is this product? A lot of times people will come to me and say, hey, let's design a package. We'll go into the strategy for 3 hours, and then I'll say, but what is this product? You never told me. But it's like they assume everybody knows because they've done it for 10 years, and they're like, well, I assumed you knew, but you don't. Variance happens on everything. So like if you have Coke, you have Diet Coke. If you'll have Cherry Coke. So whatever you're doing, it's going to have some sort of variant. Try to press for this information. The legal is the stuff, like the net weight, nutrition facts that can destroy a great design if you kind of lay on the whole bottom to be food, and then you got to drop all this crap on there and it ruins the whole thing. So if you don't think of that up front, you're going to pay later. So think up front, pay later. And then like probably the most important thing is once you get through all of this regular stuff that has to be on there, it's like, what's the story? How are we going to make this product appeal to people, Otherwise, what are we doing? We're just sticking things on a package. We're not designing anything. We're doing, robots could do that. But what's going to excite people? Like this Dr. Pepper can, Apparently they thought we were on to football, so they stuck a football on there. That's like supposed to be exciting. And maybe it is. Somebody who likes football. How many people are into football here? So like less than half of you were excited by this can, and the other ones were like, whatever, Dr. Pepper, we don't care. You taste good. Something too you can ask for is a substrate. That's important too. If it's going on a clear poly bag or it's going on a piece of cardboard, it's going to be printed completely differently. Different number of colors. There's things about the substrate you can exploit, like everything can have a window if it's on a clear substrate. You don't have to fill the edge of everything. So that's kind of a pet peeve of mine is the fill it to the edge design. Like we're just going to make everything the shape of whatever label we have, because some industrial designer 50 years ago decided this was the shape of the label, and now we have to all live with that. And things get cut off and they get thrown on a label and they're crooked, and it doesn't flow. It doesn't have any sort of life to it. It's not refined. So now that we have all this stuff, usually what I try to do is I work big to small, okay? So if I'm working on a brand that's like Coke, the logo is the biggest part. If I'm working on a brand, you know, that has like flavor, good flavor, then I want to play that up. What is the person picking this product up going to want to see the biggest? And that's how you should structure your priority communication. And that's like, these are all things that will help like later down the line when you show it to the client, like, we thought about this and we thought your strongest point is you have this really great sauce, you know, for the sandwiches, but you're not featuring it on your package anywhere. Easy win. They'll see that and be like, duh, why didn't we do that? Because nobody thought of it. Nobody evaluated the things that are going on this box or package. So this is drawing exercise 1. I want everybody to get a piece of paper, and we're going to do like a 1-minute quick sketch. We have to place all the words inside of this square. I'm going to time us so we don't like waste the day away doing something silly. Let me know when everybody's got a piece of paper. But you can use just pencil or just a black marker. These are the things, these are the words: Coke, lime, diet, 12 ounce. And we want to play up the taste of this, because this is a new taste. So everybody have paper? Draw a square, ready, start. I don't know. We're drawing a square.
Okay.
Draw a square like this, and then we're going to fill it with these 5 things: the Coke, lime flavored, want it to be the diet sub-brand. It's 12 ounces, and we want to play up taste. We want you to sell the taste of this. The sizes are up to you. This is an exercise, and let's just see what you guys think. What do you think is the most important about selling Diet Coke, personally? Why would you drink Diet Coke lime?
Are you grading this?
Yeah, grading this. This is going to go on your permanent record, right next to your 5th grade math grades. Okay, we used up a minute. Okay, we got like a minute under our belt, so you should be. We're not sketching logos. We're just scale. What's the biggest word on this package that's important to sell if you're selling this product? And if you want to do more than one sketch, that's fine.
I don't know.
And if you're done, we're just going to hang them up on the wall over here.
Wait, I don't want to hang it up.
You're not allowed to put. I didn't do a second one unless you're. Just put it up. It's not an exercise in perfection. It's just like do one. Everybody good? Everybody got something? All right. Pens down. Let's hang it up. And when you're hanging it up, look at everybody else's drawing. What are you seeing there? Which one of these designs is popping off of that board the best to you? That's a good point. That's something a trick I pull on everybody is if we're in a sketch session, I take a black marker and I outline my box. And everybody's like, how come your design's coming off the sketchboard so much better? And I'm like, because I do this every time, and I've told people to do it. If you listen or you don't listen, it's up to you. But black marker is going to look, you're going to see it from far away. So, you know, Alex or Fred's walking through, they got a 5-minute meeting. They're going to be like, okay, which one are we going with? See that one, that one, that one, that one. Back them up. We got 2 hours to get till the client gets here. So you just see how quick it happens. And a lot of times a good idea gets thrown out because it's just not black marker. It's a simple thing, just hit black marker, but it will help your designs go somewhere. I mean, who here wants their designs to go somewhere? And who, raise your hand. Who wants theirs to get thrown into the trash immediately? Raise your hand. Okay, if you raise your hand on the second question, you have to leave. Collect your paycheck. Okay, so that was a quick one. So here's the, like a little thinking, hey, how you play with the scale of things, like we were talking about. Coke doesn't need to tell you that they're cola, right? So you don't need to put Coca-Cola really big. You can put Coke on there. Everybody gets it. All right, it's Coke. But Kroger Cola, well, nobody knows what the heck that is, so that priority communication is flipped on its head. And that's all things that you can just use your perception. How do you shop? How do you think about this stuff? And try to go with that, because you're not a space alien. You're like everybody else. You think about these things like a person, and any person knows what Coke is, but every person doesn't pick up Kroger can and go, oh, this could be tomato soup or this could be cola. So these are all simple things, but you got to try and think of it up front so that'll help you downwind. So here, like the logo, this is like a Coke can. Product name, the variant, legal information, always the same size, but you can move it from the right, the left, and the center, and do that. The legal information can be set in any font. If you read the guidelines on the government website, it says you can use any font, but it has to be it has to be a specific size in the bottom third of your package. So as long as the X height is the same, does everybody know what an X height is? Raise your hands. That's the height of all the letters. So here, like this product here, it's like, well, this is like Manwich, you know. The problem with Manwich is it didn't have any appeal. They lost it. So here we're playing up appeal really big. This is like pet food. You got 50 variants. Variant is really important. So if you play up the variant on that, but it's all the same information that we just did on our previous exercise, but the scales are all different. So now let's look at what we drew. So everybody made Coke pretty big. That's a good sign. I mean, that's obviously, people want to find Coke because they like Coke. So that's an easy sell. Like, we get it. So then once you figure out these different scale issues, you can arrange it differently. And each way you arrange it tells you a different story. So like I wrote here, like symmetry equals conservative. Is your client conservative? We're from the Midwest, we're never going to change anything. We hate everything that's different. I worked for a long time designing t-shirts for softball teams. And they always picked, there was two designs. One was arched letters over a thing in the middle and the name at the bottom, or a script with a tail and the word softball in it. And they used that design on every shirt, no matter who came in from what part of the town, year after year after year after year. And it was like, how can they be so boring? And it's like, they don't care about this. They just need a shirt that doesn't look weird, you know? They don't want to look weird to their peers. So they want a shirt that looks like every other shirt. So once I learned that, then I could design for them and I could get successful designs across. But once I kept fighting it, like, no, there's angle type, upside down, let's do some cool graphic effects. And they're like, what the hell? I put a diamond behind a word one time, and I was like, they're like, I like that, but what's that diamond? And I was like, it's a graphic element. And they're like, no, we don't do graphic elements. Either it's a picture of a baseball or it's not a picture of a baseball, but there's no stripes or lines, nothing. So it's a good lesson to learn, everybody's different. And then like some clients, it's like they want to look more different. They want to stand out. So they're more into something like this, and you got to kind of design yourself to these people. And sometimes you want to show the softball people this design. Challenge them. You do this one first, you do this center one first, but then you show them some other ones and say, look, we're going to go crazy if you don't tell us the right one, and they'll pick one. And they'll be like, you might have done this one the first time, but they wouldn't agree that that was the final one until they saw all the other versions and thought, okay, we're definitely not left justified, and we're definitely not angle. We're all center people. So it's kind of a long process, but it's good to have, different ways to think about it. Eye tracking is super important. I did a design for Cascade one time, and they took it to busy P testing, where they eye track. They had computers that followed people's eyes on what they looked at. And this one got the highest score of any design that they'd ever tested. And it was amazing. And they changed it the next year, but for a year, it was the best tracking one. And this is another thing that people don't consider, And it's something that's really, when you're walking through a grocery store, you get eye fatigue from trying to look at yes.
So when you say it was the most successful, what does that mean?
Like
The high school.
they actually,
What are they quantifying?
like,
It's heat mapping where your eye will hold read information, how long your eye is held.
But like on this can, what did they want? Do they want it to stay on code, or do they want it to move
Whatever
around?
they agree to, so what you're looking for.
well, this,
The one his design had all of the, like, it was more, just the other ones, body and that.
It'll literally track, I won't even read the words.
But the criteria is different for every project.
well, actually, there's things you can assume. Like on here, the one that I did had a logo, had a product selling feature in the upper left, product name and variant in the middle, and then the flavor in the lower right. In the English language, you read a page upper left to lower right. So, boom, it was a one line. You could read all the information in about 1 second, looking at this package. That's how I beat everything out. Because everybody's like, well, just put this over here. There's a space over there. Put it over there. You don't have to do that, because it's just going to confuse people.
That's why understanding wireframe, the packaging is so important, because if you figure out the wireframe, you can lead the witness through the pack.
Yeah.
That's why we did it. So Duracell was second most successful ever. Wireframe became the only brand because of that. We actually designed a wireframe before we did it with graphics. Remember that?
Yeah. And it's not rocket science, but it is. It's just you have to think of it before you get there. You don't have to, but you're going to struggle and you're going to wonder why. Why is this design not doing well? There's a Pedialyte, I think. They put a logo in all four corners, and then a name and a variant in the middle, and then the logo. So your eye is doing this, And it's like you just don't even want to look at it because it's such a pain. Tide is a bullseye with one word in the middle. To me, I believe that's why it's so successful. It's the same detergent as every detergent. I mean, you could argue with scientists about that. But the reason it's so easy is because you're walking down an aisle and you're like, oh, there's some. Pick it up, put it in. You're not trying to read 5 things. That's Tide. I like Tide. I have Tide. People aren't intellectualizing any of this the way we try to. So, like, this was something new. Arabic is reading right to lower left, which is different. Not everybody's the same. Japanese is read top to bottom, right to left. Completely different. If I took this design into Japan, they'd be like, it looks good, but it's a little weird to us. We don't read like that, And these are things like, try to know who you're selling this to. Think about what they would like, and just do it. It's really not. Anyway. So here's our exercise number 2. We're going to place all the same, we're going to do the same thing, only let's see if we can get a little better by using some black markers. And over here, look, people made theirs really big. Some people made theirs really small. Which one do you see first? I didn't give anybody any size. There's no size strain, so do whatever you want. We're going to do Prego pasta sauce, meat flavored, 16 ounce, and we want it to be like homemade. Because that's their selling point. They're like, man, we got this new product. It's got a lot of fresh ingredients. It's like we just made it in our mom's kitchen. How can you tell that story in this little square? Like, what's the most important thing to tell? in this story. You know, and if you don't want to draw the type, I'll just draw a square where the type would go. Like, I want this logo to be really big. I want it to be small. I think about, have anybody here had pasta sauce at home? Everybody? Like, how do you cook it? What do you like it as? What's your favorite part? Is it pouring it onto the pasta sauce? You take a big spoon and just eat it out of the jar, you know? Do babies like it? Maybe there's a baby on there. I don't know. Maybe there's your grandma on there. Just think about something that might connect with you and other people. We got Prego, pasta sauce, meat flavor, 16 ounce, and it doesn't have to say like homemade, but we want to think, how can we inspire people to think about home? What's home mean to you? Is it a picture of a house? Is it a pot maybe, or a spoon? Steam, you know, is there steam coming off of it?
It's okay. There's not much.
Well, and think about Prego too. Are they an avant-garde art dealer, or are they a middle of America sauce that your grandma would buy? What does your grandma like? Does she like patterns? Do you have a grandma? Maybe you don't have a grandma. What is your grandpa like? Your non-gender specific grandpa. Because we don't see gender here at Kaleidoscope. I had a grandma that lived on a farm, and she would make everything from scratch, I thought. But then I found the secret. She used to have homemade bread every time, but there's a Schwan man who would deliver frozen bread dough to her house. And I always thought she made this bread. Turned out she didn't, but it's still really good. Let's take about one more minute. I'm gonna move our coat ones over so we can hang these up. So we've got, all right, let's be done. Time's up. Stop. Everybody hang their stuff on the wall over there.
It's a spoon.
You got more than one, hang two, Mark. No, hang
I
it
don't
all
like
up.
that one.
You gotta hang it up. There's no second chance. You gotta do one.
They're right here too. Look at that.
Okay, how many designs do we have up there? 16. So look at those designs compared to our first round of designs. A lot of these we just changed to a black marker, and already you can see them so much better from across the room. We got some with the word meat really big, and a nice big, you know, thing of food. Prego's really big on some. But all these are workable designs. I would think you could take a lot of these to the Mac and you would have that many designs, 14 designs in 2 minutes. That's pretty many designs, right? So now we're trying to figure out, well, we can do a lot of designs. We can make them look really good. What's the best design? That's where things really get, we're going to have to push ourselves. Like, we all have to push ourselves every day to come up with better than what we did yesterday. It'll help us develop as people. You know, you should just try to always do better because it makes your work fun. If you're doing the same thing every day and you don't like it, guess what? Your life's going to suck. And it's going to suck for infinity because you are never going to go anywhere. You're stuck there forever. But if you just do one little thing better, then you're probably going to be happy for tomorrow. Like, oh, look, I'm looking forward to this pasta sauce redesign because I'm going to do something cool that nobody ever thought of. And then Fred's going to put me on his shoulder and we're going to do a parade through the middle of Chicago. Okay, that might happen. So we did the eye tracking. So this is the part where we objectively evaluate our sketches. This is the most painful part, right? Why is it painful? Does anybody know why?
Because we're always trying to do our best, and if we find out that our best sucks, then we feel like we suck.
That's really good.
That's the downside of trying to be better all the time.
Right. But the good thing is there's going to be another sketch session tomorrow, and then after that, and after that, so you're not going to die. You can take all your designs that you've done your entire life, throw them away. You still have 50 years of designing left to do. So just let it go. I know it's hard. When I was young, I was like, they hate me because they don't pick my design every single time. But I've forgotten even what those designs were that I was so passionate about, you know, because just all over time it just fades away, and just stop fighting it. Just keep working, because that's that's what we're getting paid for. You get to buy a car, take your sweetheart out for a date. There's rewards that are, and I've had like so many products on the shelf that made it through the gauntlet, got on the wall, got in the store. 2 years later, redesigned, out the door. Nobody knew I did it. I couldn't explain it to you without a picture if I tried, Like, I designed this really great sugar-free jelly for Kroger back in 1995. And it was the most groundbreaking design. I hand did all the type, and then like 2 years later, they replaced it.
Wasn't one of your old projects in a TV show?
Yeah, there's that one that is my claim to fame. I'm still waiting for a check though. I haven't got a check for that. 2.5 Men residuals. So here's part of this. Yeah, you get me off track. So objectively evaluate your pack. Everybody look at your sketch that you did up there. What's the story we're trying to tell? Does anybody want to tell the story of their pack sketch? Volunteers. Anybody? Okay.
This is my sketch, and that's the logo,
Right?
and that's a bowl of sauce, and I put like homemade in like grandma's handwriting, and then put meat at the bottom, kind of framed out so it sticks out a little bit more versus the other.
I mean, that is a very workable sketch. What is the story though? What's the story behind this bowl?
Made homemade sauce.
Well, did you make the sauce? Did your grandma make it?
Grandma made it.
So you could say about this sketch, shows a picture of sauce that my grandma would have made, and it's in her favorite bowl that she brought from Germany, in the background, what's going on in the background? Is it just white? Or is it a cottage?
Yeah.
You know? Is it
Yeah,
a
it's
cottage?
on Grandma's table with her favorite
Right.
napkin
But see, that's a great story, you know? And you could even put little details in there to say, like, this is the story. And people get more excited about the story. And they'll remember the story. Like, remember that time you did that grandma's bowl? That was really impressive. The sketch is like the sketch, you know? The sketch is only part of the story. Does anybody else want to do one? I swear I'll be nice to you, whatever you say. Okay.
I did the centering
Mm-hmm.
for but the story behind mine is you're sitting down and you're enjoying your final meal that your grandma has put right in front of you.
Yeah.
Or not final meal, but like your final creation. That she's
Okay.
made. Not your final meal. You
You're on death row.
Yeah.
You just feel trying to do
Unless
stuff.
this is what you want, your grandma's homemade.
That's good. Good. See, it's a good story. Does anybody want to do somebody else's sketch? Like, what do you see up there that's like really telling you a story? Okay. Volunteers? Because I'll just have to keep talking. Or we can, you know, we can move to the next level. But think about that, you know, think about the story. What's the story behind it? You're trying to get people excited about your design, you know, and that will save you from doing 50 mediocre designs if you have one really good one. And if you do 4 really good ones with 4 separate stories, your chances of getting something through is a lot better. 5, 6, you know, all the strategy work is about trying to set you up to tell a good story, you know. It's not there just to torture you and make you pull endless images. You're trying to get somewhere. We're trying to get people excited about this direction. Like, what's it doing? What's it going to do for us? And if people have feelings about it, then they're going to really get behind it. So how does this design, what if there's 50 of these cans that look exactly like that and they're all on a shelf? Can somebody tell the difference between like the meat and the onion flavor? You know, how's it going to live out there? How's it going to live with the competition? Because the competition, they don't have the same rules as you. Is that even a good direction? Grandma's homemade. Maybe that's stupid. Maybe because everybody's doing grandma's homemade. And we just fell down that rabbit hole. We're like, we didn't even challenge them because we thought, well, they wrote on a piece of paper, that's it. We can't change that. You can change everything but the net weight. But you've got to have a good reason, because if you just do random design, then you're going to get random results. But if you have a targeted design or trying to tell a story, maybe grandma's homemade's the best idea. You make the logo like grandma's logo. You make the dish grandma's dish. You make everything line up with that story. Guess what? You've got an idea. That's one idea. You're going to need a lot of ideas, because look, these are all different ideas from every company that's out there, and they're all trying to tap into something in people's psyche to sell products. You know, people trust grandma. They trust grandma's not going to poison them. They don't buy Dow Chemical pasta sauce because they're afraid they're going to get killed. That's one direction. But people also want fresh pasta sauce. They want it made today. They don't want 60-year-old grandma pasta sauce. I want sauce made fresh from the garden. Well, that's a different direction. That's them. This is us. That's them. And people are like, well, I like them better because they're talking to me, you know. Or I like this other guy because they're neither of these guys. Procter & Gamble used to do they invented Tide. And they're like, how do we sell more Tide? Well, then they invented Cheer, which was Tide's competition. Sold them side by side on the shelf, and they had completely different characters. But it didn't matter who you choose, because you were always picking P&G. But it was a mind game. It was just like same exact stuff, but guess what? This one's the blue one, and this one's the orange one. Do you like blue? If you don't like orange, look, we got blue. It comes in a blue bottle, and it works all the time because 90% of these products are made in the same factory. Kroger stuff is all made in the same factory. They cut a deal with like the major corporations to, we'll put your stuff on our shelf, but you have to make our private label, and we're going to undercut you on price. But it's worth it for Ragu to get on the shelf because they make a ton of money in these Krogers all across the country. But a lot of times it's almost exactly the same product. The only difference is the label. So your design actually is more important than what's in the bottle. I mean, how does that make sense? It's a piece of paper with some ink on it, but it's more important. So you got to like really, you got to outwit the other team of people on the other company trying to do the exact same thing we're trying to do here at Kaleidoscope. So here we go again, drawing exercise 3. Now this one I picked something pretty gross. Does everybody like Spam? Anybody like Spam? All right. I love Spam too. I have bacon Spam in my cabinet at home. Do you know what Spam is?
It's like processed meat,
And it's just bacon flavored.
Yeah, it's bacon flavored pork. It's like processed ham, chopped up into like a paste and put in a can.
Do you like spread it on bread and stuff? What do you do?
You can cut it into a sandwich. You can fry it with eggs. You can cube it and put in things. The thing is, it comes in a can, so you can take it anywhere. It doesn't go bad. So like if you're on a ship to China, you can pack 12 cans of Spam and have meat the entire way with no refrigeration.
Oh,
Like if you're a camper,
yeah.
hiker, you know,
Perfect.
a lot of people like Spam.
All right. Can I borrow that for a second?
We got Spam, canned meat, bacon, 18 ounce, low sodium.
I'm drawing the things big.
You eat it?
Because they're not brown. Are we drawing? Okay.
Salty meat.
It's just like a salty hot dog.
Yeah.
Like flattened.
Yeah.
Yeah, the texture's a little different, but like the same product as a hot dog.
Is it in like poured?
Kind of like a hot dog. You know how it has like hot dogs that are a little bit wet?
No idea
Yeah.
what they're
It
looking
looks like. It's like.
I think it's like pretty much.
It's like it's a
Yeah, it's just like big blocky letters.
Oh, I thought it was. I'm really distracted so much. Yeah.
Well, if you don't know what Spam is, then this is your turn to be creative. Like you can make, it's a canned ham, a canned pork product that can be made into different shapes. So
Like a dinosaur.
what personally do you like to eat, you know? So if North was, I shouldn't say North, but if we stayed close in with Prego and did something to try and fit with their brand character, what if we do something with the Spam that's completely different from anything you would ever imagine? You're just pure fantasy product. Like if you could design a product that had your name on it, what would you want it to look like? Because we don't know. If you don't know what Spam is, then you're free to do whatever you want. It's pretty good. You don't have to refrigerate it. You know, what word jumps out at you? Like, do you like canned meat? Do you like bacon? I'm supposed to not eat sodium, so to me, low sodium is important. It's important for me to ignore because it doesn't taste very good. Spam, Spam.
Are
even like so good for your heart? Or what's the benefit of fluorescent?
If you have high blood pressure, you're not supposed to eat salt. And Spam is like super salty. The salt kills bacteria. Yeah, what if you took something off, you know?
Oh.
What color is that? I have faith on colors here. Okay, that'd be perfect. Thanks.
Yes.
This is probably the color of Spam too.
Oh, that is.
I think it would. It is. I can steal that back from my roller though. I'm stealing this one.
Okay, we got one more minute.
Here you go.
What island?
There is a restaurant in
My last one is a little neat one. Huh?
really good. Yeah, I'll
What?
email it
What?
to you.
Oh, lettuce and spam. Ew.
All
Time to
right,
put
5 more
something
seconds. And we're done. All right, everybody hang your drawings up. So these are all the package design sketches we're going to do today. So we did three versions. This should be your best sketch of the day.
Is this a camera to Kelsey?
What is the word?
I think so. I can't hear her, so.
I can kind of hear something going on in
This is like
that.
a microphone.
Hi, Kelsey.
Hey guys.
How's it going, Kelsey?
It's not all.
Wait, yeah. Kelsey, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me here?
Yeah.
You didn't introduce yourself.
Have you been?
Oh, I'm Kelsey. I'm a designer.
Bro.
She doesn't even go here.
I miss you guys.
Miss you too. Okay, everybody take a marker, and I want you to go up and put a circle on your favorite sketch up there. We're looking for the most creative, the most impactful, the prettiest. You got whatever criteria you think is your favorite. Kelsey, you're just gonna have to imagine that you're doing this. Okay, everybody take a
I've
marker.
been imagining.
Go. It helps if you all go up at once, because if it's not a one at a time thing. Like everybody just go up. Huh? It can be a circle. This is your chance to be creative. Put some sort of mark on it with a marker, like a color. Now. Like go. And you're not going to hurt anybody's feelings. Everybody's your best friend. It's safe space, safe design space. Just in your gut, which one do you think is something that you would like to see? And thanks for participating in this section. We're going to move on to the typography section next. So if people want to take 5 to do whatever, bio break. I'm going to go grab some water. Let's meet back here at 1 o'clock. That's 5 minutes to do what you have to do.
Oh, it was great.
Taking a
It
break
was like 7 minutes long.
because we're moving
It
on
was
to
like,
the
we did these records for innovation back.
Really?
Yeah. There wasn't really any stuff to present. He had a lot of questions about why we moved the door up a little bit.
What did you say?
It was like we moved it up so that it wouldn't rip prematurely and it will keep the camera in post-activation if you want to carry it somewhere else. And then he was like, well, is it going to be hard to get the camera out? And no, we tested it. It's so easy. And he was like, cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
I want it to be Friday.
It is Friday.
Oh, are you coming for the day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had no idea what we can do this.
It says, look at that.
I know, but you didn't invite me to it until recently. I thought it was 2 weeks ago
No.
when you first told me about it. No, I can totally get it.
Awesome. Are you bringing a cool beer?
Yeah. That play we went to was wild.
Oh yeah, was it not grandma appropriate?
No, it was super grandma appropriate. Basically, it was Taming of the Shrew, which is a Shakespeare play. It's a comedy, and it's a play within a play. So basically, the story is there's this like troupe of actors that puts on this play about a guy who
Wait, was this recorded?
like marries a woman and then like domesticates her. You know, she's the shrew. But the way that they reframed the whole thing was the outer play of the play within the play are women's suffragettes, like women fighting for the right to vote, because back then during that time, the only way that they could organize and like get political and stuff is by having Shakespeare clubs, where like all these women would meet and then like put on Shakespeare plays. That was their cover, but they would really be talking about like how to get the
Telling
right
a
to vote and
story
stuff.
through architecture.
And so
if you had to
they,
give me a 30-second overview, I'm gonna watch.
like the woman.
I have a dad too.
Oh, you do?
It goes back and forth between the
Weird.
subjects, like putting this
Weird.
plan on and talking about why they did it, and then the actual play within the play, which is really funny.
You guys ready? Yay! Be excited. Okay, so this is the part 3. This one we're just going to talk strictly about typography for packaging. Okay, I'm going to flip on this next picture for 6 seconds. We went to a seminar for Brandemonium, and they said the average attention span of a YouTube watcher is 6 seconds. So I'm going to flip it on for 6 seconds and then flip it off. And then I want you to write down like what brand you would choose off of that page.
What brand you would choose, or which one? Can we write as we're looking?
No, you can't look. You're just shopping. Imagine you're shopping in a shopping center. Actually, 6 seconds is really long, but just for the exercise. Which one of these would you pick? We're going to look at the cereal aisle. So I want you to pick like your brand of cereal and just like write it down really quick. All right, you ready? Go. 1,000, 2,000. All right, we're done. Now think about what you saw and write down what stuck out the most to you. Did any of them stick out to you? What were the colors that you saw? Did you see any colors? Did you see anything like, I love that cereal, or I hate that cereal? Okay, that should be enough time. So everybody read, look around the table and everybody read which one you saw. Starting with you.
Oh, Crave. And because there's a lot of contrast between the white and the brown.
Okay.
Crave because there's a lot of white.
Yay. Crave. Crave. That's the wrong answer. That's the wrong answer. So, would you buy Crave?
Yeah, it's really big.
Which one we buy, not which one we noticed. Right?
Sure. But if you didn't notice, like, shredded wheat, how are you going to buy it?
But I mean, you could go looking for it. Like I looked for honey bunches of oats, but I don't see it in that picture.
Over here. So Crave, everybody saw Crave. I saw Crave, and for the life of me, I thought it was yellow. In my memory, it was yellow. Isn't that weird? I think there's a lot of things that happen with your memory that if you watch TV shows about it, it's like your memory is really bad. You should never trust your memory. So this Golden Grams is yellow. The point of this though is this is your competition. So like let's look over here at our Spam and our Perego. You know, I had you go up and like mark which ones you thought jumped out at you for whatever reason. Sometimes color can jump out at you. Sometimes an image can jump out at you. You know, sometimes lettering can jump out at you. These are all just effects, like special effects in a movie that can jump out at you. You can use all those things more or less on every package design. Say you did this design right here, pretty conservative. What if you made a fluorescent orange? Oh my God, it's crazy. That's a crazy idea. But all you're doing is changing the color. You know, these are things like you can take a mediocre design and make it crazy, or you can make a really great design and destroy it by making it all the wrong colors. Color plays a factor, size, scale. These are all things we can play with. And all these are different, you know. Everything here is different. Did you guys know, like, we had this many different designs for one? You had no information on this project. No preconceived notions, you know. And that's the way you should try to start every project. Like, I don't know. So anyway, the whole thing here was like Crave, Krave, 5 letters. It has the least amount of letters of every package up here, except for Kix. Kix is way down there. But see how much of a difference that makes? Just having big, bold typography surrounded by white, it really can change the whole the whole design, you know. And you can tell a whole story with the typography. Like, what do you think this movie's about? Anybody?
Turtle.
Right, some giant turtle. Citizen Kane, I mean, what about that? It's kind of chiseled and hard, like the man, Citizen Kane. This looks rough, like sandpaper, like you got a raw deal, like you've been sandpapered. The Phantom from, I mean, this is just letters. These are just shapes. They're all black and white except for this yellow one and this T. Look at this Love Crazy one. Never saw that movie, but that typography to me just blows my mind. And this was all done before Photoshop and Illustrator and computers. You know, your tools don't make you make good stuff. Yes.
I've always wondered in languages where the like line weight and stroke changes the meaning of the character, how typography works. Just out of curiosity.
That's a great question.
Yeah, Arabic.
I wonder that too, because I'm like charged with doing Arabic translations of our logos. But I only match what we have because we're trying to tie these two completely separate things together. But I also wonder, and I've asked people, my next door neighbor's from Baghdad. He's like, anytime you want me to look at anything, let me know. And it's amazing. They're a lot more like us than we would like to think, you know? I'm like, what do you eat? He's like, the same thing you do. Where you go? I go to the same places. We go to malls and we eat McDonald's. You know, they don't. It's not like so crazy foreign as you would think from their language. You're like, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything like it. It's like space language, but it's really. And if you pronounce it phonetically, it's like saying the same sounds just with their letter forms. So really, you can translate there pretty easily. But again, it's about trying to understand the culture or the people you're trying to sell to. What do they like? Anyway, so you can see like these are just letters on a page, you know? They're all treated different and they all tell a completely different story. So I usually find a lot of inspiration in movie titles because they're they tell a story, you know? And they have to. Because a lot of times all you're going to see is a story. And sometimes it's simple, like Pretty in Pink. We made the word pink pink. Okay, that wasn't hard, but it tells the story. The whole story is about this girl wearing a pink dress at the prom and whatever. Doesn't really matter. Talladega Nights. I mean, this looks like a NASCAR logo because it's all for NASCAR, you know? And to me, this is like a whole segment of graphic design that's completely ignored by, you know, design professionals. Like, if you go to a NASCAR race, everybody there looks like a billboard, and they love it like that. That's an entire audience, you know? Have you ever heard of Troy Lee Designs?
Yeah, the motorbike.
Yeah, he makes motorcycle helmets, and he started by painting motorcycle helmets, and he's like the most famous guy in this category that nobody's ever heard of if you don't do that. If you don't do motocross or racing, you don't know who Troy Lee Designs is. You type him into your phone, you'll be like, oh my God, he does everything. If you watch NASCAR, they're wearing a Troy Lee Designs helmet. He's a really amazing designer. Harry Potter. So I was going to have you guys sketch a logo. Do you guys want to, let's push a little farther on the sketching right now. Because the other stuff's going to, frankly, it's going to get a little harder. But modern, you know, letter forms come from this calligraphy style made out of like a chiseled pen, okay? It's important to know that these people are right-handed, so they're thick. The downstrokes are thick and the side strokes are thin because when you take your hand at a 45-degree angle, you push it over, it gets thin here, it gets fat over here. So if you're drawing letter forms, there's usually a thin point and a fat point to mimic that, because that's what looks the most natural to our eyes. Because we've been looking at these letter forms for our entire life, you know? So that's where it started from. It's like 16th century manuscripts. And this shows you how, like, the same thing. Like, if you look really close, see, they're using a flat pen, and the thin part at this angle is thin, then it gets fat over here. So you can see how all the letters are formed by that calligraphy style. You're shaping your hands in circles instead of straight up and down, but you end up creating these really recognizable forms. And a lot of times when people ask me, what's wrong with this logo, I'll be like, the strokes look like two different pens going from three directions. And if you just make these horizontal lines consistent and vertical lines consistent, fixes the whole thing. And then like letter spacing. Like our computers do a really good job with letter spacing. Way better, before that, we had to do it by hand and optically. But you can see like the space between this D and this O is tight compared to this A and D, but it looks like it flows together because optically, this gray space, it's kind of a visual buffer. So you can see again here, like optical spacing, you put an S closer to a P and a P closer to an A than you would an I closer to an N, because optically this looks like one piece of type. Mechanical spacing, where everything's exactly the same, look at all the space you got here. Because it doesn't take into account the angles, curves. These are all things like you can do to fix your type to make it look better. And this is why this is the hard part, because this is the details. The fun part is like, oh, let's put the logo here, put the logo there. But how are you going to take it from amateur to professional level? How are you going to take it over the end goal? You can get 99% there, but if you're like slopping it up in the last 5 yards, use sports analogies, and you do your spacing wrong, somebody's going to look at it and go, that doesn't look right. I can't tell you why, because I'm not a designer, but they're like, that doesn't look right. Can you fix it? And you're like, is this better? No. Is that better? So I'm just trying to help, like, give some of the more detailed things. Again, optically fitted letters. This is where they're spaced out. Looks wrong. Okay, we got it. Okay, this is the part where we're going to do just some quick, vertical lines and horizontal lines and circles. Basically draw 2 lines parallel to each other. Start filling them in. I'm going to, what's the next slide here? So let's just do this for a minute, just to warm up. Yeah, start with the first line. Do a line of vertical, about 1 inch apart if you have a ruler, but if you don't. But you're just trying to draw the lines close, draw them as evenly spaced as possible. Just draw one line and really look at it close, and then take like, just really look at them close and try to make a really consistent line of vertical lines. And then when you do that and you feel like you've got that started, you can do 2 more lines and then do horizontal lines. Just do like a square of horizontal lines. So you do like 4 horizontals and then 2 verticals, 4 horizontals, 2 verticals. Try to match the spacing and scale on these. Because what we're doing is we're building up to something really spectacular at the end. But these are the basic pieces of how-to lesson. Because the letter form is made of verticals and horizontal lines. How consistent can you make them? Do some horizontal lines. Is bugging you?
Yeah. Yeah. Wait, so I should draw them like.
No, just go like
Like
across like that.
Okay. Oh, like how that was?
Sideways. That.
Is that what you're
Then
talking
do another one there.
Yeah. Like all the way?
All the way. And then like do 1, 2, 3, 4.
Okay.
Try to space them as you
Okay.
do 3 or 4, how many you can fit in there.
All right.
start at like the bottom, whatever. But try to do the same exercise just sideways. So is anybody really struggling with this part? Like it should be pretty easy, but it's more of an exercise and make them as perfect as you can. Like the ends should all match the same start and stop in the same spot. You know, take your time. We're not under a time constraint here. We've got, it's 1:20. I told them I'd be done by 2, so. So then if you get those done, do some angled lines here. Like a line or 2 of angles. And then space your angled lines apart. Like, see this bottom line? So there's a line, and there's like a 1/2 inch and a line, a 1/2 inch. Just do them all at the same consistent angle. Like, just try to relax and be as like focused as you can on this. Don't think about it. Just draw it as perfectly as you can. This is the low stress part of your job. Like, you're just drawing lines. No way to mess it up. Like Bob Ross, you know. Draw some happy little lines.
Nice for left-handed.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just start drawing lines.
Oh man,
You should.
mess me up.
Oh, sorry.
Stay so much.
I love being able to draw from right to left. I never get to do that.
So you can see at this top line here, you can combine vertical lines in those angles and you can make M, Y, K, M, all these letter forms. Horizontal and vertical, you can make L, F, E, L, T, H. So already you're making half the alphabet just by drawing vertical and horizontal lines. Kind of makes a cool pattern too. Then if you get through 6, then you go up to 7 where you're just drawing like circles, like a half circle. Then make a circle that goes inside of itself, like a spiral. We're just drawing a circle, you know. So once you draw a circle and combine it with vertical and horizontal lines, you can draw G, D, B, P, R, D. So that's almost the whole alphabet there. It's really only those shapes. Try to draw like 2 lines and keep it in between the lines to be consistent. But this is just practice, so you can throw it away when you're done. We're not going to evaluate these drawings. There's no test. So then after you go through 9, the final line is S is probably the hardest letter to draw, but it's really 2 circles. Top circle and a bottom circle connected in the middle. Usually I draw the top part of the circle here, and the bottom part, and then I snake that little piece in the middle, right here. Everybody, redo a line of S's if you get through the C's. Try to make them all look exactly the same. Like which ones are fatter, which ones are skinnier.
Do the circles overlap like a Venn diagram, or are they on top of each other? You can't see from here.
Which here?
The one to the right. That one.
This one?
No, just one to the right.
This one?
No, just that one, yeah.
What was your question? You can come up here and look at it.
That's a good point.
See this circle right here is a left circle, and this one's a right circle, and it's just smoothed out the middle. This one is like top of the curve and the bottom of the curve, and it's making this is just like whatever. And then this one looks like a part of it.
There's a very narrow.
But the bottom is bigger than the top on this.
On every S, they're just that style.
This style. This is just like a basic Gothic letter style. So like at the very least, this is the quickest one you can draw. Like you're like, oh, I don't have time to make it legible. Or I'm like, no, you've got to. It's like one stroke. There's no excuse to make it not legible. Unless it's too small. Which brings up a good point. Need a marker. So Alex told me that I should show you guys this. If you're drawing a layout and it's really small and you don't have room to write it because it's just too small, you can do Greeking, which is just like drawing like half letter forms to connect the lines so that it looks like a word, but it's not really a word. Does that make sense to you guys? Like if you're drawing a net weight, you don't have to draw 1, 2. You just draw where it should be and then fill it in a little bit. So you're not, it's called Greeking. That's a good way to fill in like a whole body copy, a whole paragraph without trying to write it, because that can get super tedious. This is the low energy section of this presentation today. Wake up. Okay. So here's we're going to do this Gothic letter form. Same thing that we just did. Same style. I want everybody to get a fresh piece of 8.5 by 11, turn it horizontally in front of you, and get a fat marker and a pencil. Everybody ready? So you can see how these letters are constructed. You know, this is just a big line, big fat line. Everything's the same line width. So you don't want to vary your line at all in this next exercise. We're going to draw the Toyota logo. So this isn't an exercise in speed, this is an accuracy. I want you to draw it exactly. See how the points are in the corners? I want you to try to get those points on all your letter forms. And then I did this for you to make it a little easier. So you can see now this is what it looks like on a grid. If you want to take a pencil and draw the grid first, it might make your life easier. But it's just 1, 2, 3, 4. See, these lines are the same as these lines. The thickness of this T is the same as this O and this Y. Everything's the same line thickness and everything's straight. And I want you to do this as accurate as possible because we're going to hang it up on the wall too. So everybody's going to see this. And I want you to make it as tight as you can, like tight. Like your corners should come to a point, not just a blob. No, you can take, how long do you want? It's one, it could take me 30 seconds.
No, prove it. You have to hang yours up with
What's all right, I have to get a pencil. Whoa, this isn't about me sucking, it's about you sucking. I can suck every day. I get a pencil.
Use the hands.
No. Is there a sharpening board?
30 seconds.
So hard.
You need to cheat, you can use like pen marker, fat marker, anything you can think of to cheat with. You can trace it if you want to, but you have to do it for everybody.
What? In front of it.
I don't know. All right, let's go. We'll start now. Let's try to see where we're at in 5 minutes. I need another. But if you think about this letter, this logo, I mean, it's pretty boring. It's pretty not adventurous. And these are all things that are Toyota, you know? So for them, this is like a perfect logo. Because I've always looked at it and thought, wow, that's the boringest logo I've ever thought of. But compared to everything Toyota does, it's pretty good.
Isn't there a real logo like that T inside the oval, like the 3 ellipses? I think they're like,
That's their brand, I get, brand mark. See, like between the edge of the T and the O, there's a tiny space. So if your O's tucked under your T, then you messed up. See what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
It's so many details, right? But this is a challenge. This is a Toyota drawing logo challenge. Put that on Facebook.
They should like sponsor it.
Yeah, like you can dump water on your head, but we can draw a Toyota logo. Jerk. Then you call him a jerk. Okay, we've already spent 2 minutes drawing this.
You want to do way more time than that.
No pressure, no pressure. Thumbs up. Kidding. See, what I usually do is draw it in pencil, because you can erase pencil behind marker and it'll completely disappear. Secrets of the old guy secrets. This is not like an impossible skill though. Usually people are shocked at how well they can do this once they try. Like I had no idea. I was good at typography. Almost. All I gotta do is put the ends on this A. Done.
How did they do that?
Mic drop. Boom.
Yeah, he traced it.
Oh, I it was a pencil.
You traced it, guys.
If you can trace the logo, trace it. But but those are just straight up and down lines in a circle. This is
The
just,
circle,
Circle's
that's
the
the
hard
hard
part.
part. And then you have to make two of them. I forgot there were two. There's one.
I used one marker.
Because they have to look the same.
I used
And I just write
one marker and did one stroke. So all my strokes are consistent because I used the side of the exact same marker horizontal and vertical. And then I used the thin tip of that same marker to fill in the ends to make them look tight. Okay, that was 7 minutes. I'm gonna get some more water.
Take your time.
See, my A's a little too compressed.
Change it.
Okay, that's for 8 minutes and 30 seconds. We'll go to 10, and then it's just pencils down. We got other stuff we have to draw.
And then I'll be.
Like, like, yeah.
Right. Still, the letter forms look like Toyota.
Everything got bigger and bigger. More spread out.
And the spacing is probably the hardest thing to do.
Yeah. The O tiers.
Like Toyota is 6 letters, so the middle is going to be between the Y and the O.
Yeah.
So if you're like
Oh, yeah, you're right. See how
too far over, then you run off the edge. That's why I made my A smaller, because I was getting closer to the right side of the page. But it looks compressed. Toyota. All right, 10 minutes is up. All right, let's everybody put pencils down. Hang up where you're at. It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. This is an exercise in practice, not perfection. That looks really good, Jen. But you've taken this class before. I think, oh yeah. There was a guy that taught me, his name was Mike McGuire, and he would paint with a paintbrush full of paint, letters tight as this. He was like, he could paint a perfect circle with any kind of paintbrush. And kids would be like, you have a special magical paintbrush. And then he'd like take their paintbrush out of their hand and paint the exact same thing. It's really good. What do you guys think?
Those damn O's.
O's are hard. But you could cheat if you got a circle template.
Yeah.
But you gotta come prepared. I'm not gonna bring it for you.
Yeah, it doesn't even look like a word anymore.
Yeah, isn't it weird? That's why it is such a weird word. All right, everybody get another piece of paper. Now we're gonna do an italic letter form. So you can see how like this, they use that same sort of style. Pulling your letter forms down from the top, we're using a one fat marker going all the way down between the two lines. And we're going to draw this Cascade logo that I designed in 1996. But you can do it color, you can do it black and white, I don't really care. This is more about, so like on the next page, you can see the grid is exactly the same, only instead of vertical lines, we're just using angled lines. So let's reset the timer. It's 1:42, so we got till 1:50. Now we got to cut this short because there's one after this. That's going to be even harder. Let's just do 5 minutes on this one. But the next one, you'll be like, I'm glad you gave me more time on this one. So just do this one as fast as you can. Yeah, you don't have to put the highlight or anything on it. Do whatever. Do something like that. So all the top of the C is the highest point. Because when you're trying to make a brand mark, you want the person to read left to right. So I made the C intentionally a tiny bit bigger. Just to screw with you guys.
One day you knew you were going to teach this stuff.
I didn't know I could teach classes until they made me do it. This would be a cake job if I didn't have to work every day. Get free lunch. I don't even have to do real work. I just have to do stuff that I did before. So this is hard, but it's still same construction technique. But see how bold it is? It's a bold font. That's something that you'll find is pretty successful if you're trying to design a logo. It's got to have some presence, some visual weight, or people won't see it. It's like drawing in black. Okay, it's 3:24. How long were we going to do this for? Oh yeah, we're just going to do 5 minutes on this. So you got 1 more minute to go. I know. It's impossible. Right, there's my Cascade logo.
Yes, I'll get to.
So these are the last two I had, was this Pepsi logo and this Jose Cuervo logo.
No way.
I vote Pepsi.
Yeah.
You want to do Pepsi? This one has a fun sidebar about drop shadows. Pretty fun. All right, let's quit on Cascade because no, you can't really hang this up in your area. But you're gonna hang up this Pepsi logo. So this one's kind of free form, as you can see, but it combines all the same ideas. So look, the vertical strokes are all the same width, the horizontal strokes are all the same width. You know, these parts are, this is like the same size. And it's just kind of, this line here is the same as all these lines. So really they start with one line, this arc, double arc, and then they just use that same line all the way down to draw the rest of the letterforms off of that. So they draw the wireframe first. You could even trace it, draw one in black marker, put it under your paper, use that to trace these same wave lines. See what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then use one fat marker to draw your strokes. So you're not filling in each piece, you're drawing one line for this E, one line for the I, one line for the P, and then you fill in the curves. it seems hard, but I saw you guys trying to draw like the A and the S as outlines. I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you to use one fat marker to get your line stroke the same, and that's your letter form. If you want to draw an I, it takes one line. Use a fat marker, that's your I. If it takes more than one stroke to draw an I, then you're doing it wrong. Then you're in trouble. Not really. I have no power over anything. So the first thing I want you to do is draw that wave. And it doesn't have to be exactly that wave. And then use that as your guide to make a grid on the next page. So you're going to need 2 pieces of paper for this. Does that make sense? Does anybody have any questions, concerns?
Okay, so I'm making the wave on one page.
Right.
I'm using it as a guide for.
Like you make a wave, right? You put this over that. Then you trace the top of the word, the middle of the word, the bottom of the word. So you create a grid from that one line. So all those lines are going to be the same line, right?
Yeah.
And you use a pencil to make the line.
Yeah.
So you can erase it when you're done.
Yeah.
So you need some more paper.
Oh, thanks.
So here I just drew the first line. Then I moved my tracing paper down, like template down to make the bottom of the E, the top side line. So now I'm going to move it down again to make where the middle of the E is going to be.
Old school. Dog.
Making it tough on them.
Old school.
But see, once you master this, it's like there's no shape you can't draw a letter form for now. Because it's all basically vertical, horizontal, circles. That's it. It's all letters or all that. It's not rocket science. But this is the last thing we'll do today, so you have as much time as you want. Do you guys like this logo? It's a pretty cool logo.
You are aware of the fact that he's just making all this shit up, right?
That's the whole point of being creative, is you make it all up. So for this one, I'm going to just trace over my pencil to make it even clearer. Sometimes if I'm working on a package, I'll do a good drawing of a logo and then just photocopy it, shrink it down for my layout, so you don't have to redraw it 1,000 times.
Then we might need to change the form. Because Tommy is busy.
Oh, me either.
Does with the grid in it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Thank you for the scoop. Thanks a lot.
Hey, no problem. Thanks. Awesome.
I don't know, he got squished in the wire.
Here's my Pepsi logo.
Oh, that's so good. I keep running out of space, so I forgot to hide them.
Right.
Oh, man.
I drew it on pencil. And then I started to draw the end of the E with the same line as the beginning of the P. And I realized I was screwing up, so then but it's like, keep correcting it.
Yeah.
Then like if I trace this one again, Anyway. Yay.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah, thank you. I loved it.
Hope it helped.
Thank you for that. That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
I'm gonna
guys.
frame this in my room now.
You should. Send it to your mom. Look, Mom, put this on your refrigerator.
Is this all how you design?
Yeah,
I'll tell my mom I designed it.
they've already changed it, so what I designed is off the shelf. Maybe you'll do the next one,
So bad.
That's good. That's awesome. Did you think you guys could draw that? Like,
No, I got progressively better, which never happens. Usually just get
cool. Thanks, guys. You're
Thank
officially
you.
free to
Thanks.
walk about the cabin.
Can you